Hey gamers, welcome to a different kind of video. I don't know what to call this kind of video, but I wanted to kind of just discuss my current thoughts on Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I have made it like 42, 43 episodes into it. I wanted to give it another chance because when it was relevant and when it was like, I think it was still like airing at that time, back in like what 2010, 2011, whatever. I didn't want to watch it because at that time I was really like burnt out on shows that would tell an interesting story, then it would just end, and then being told, well, if you want to see how it ends, just read the manga, or it would just never continue at all. Uh, Good comparison would be Claymore. I was watching Claymore. It was an interesting anime. The ending of that anime was really good, and then it's like, oh yeah, the anime got canceled. They're not going to continue it. It's like, oh, I'm glad I invested time watching that and liking the characters to then be told, well, then read the manga. And it's like I don't want to do that. I'm watching the anime. You know. So when Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was going on, it's like, okay, yeah, but this is ongoing, and I don't want to watch it and be told like, well, you could read the manga, if it doesn't continue, or whatever. It's like, no, I think even at the time, I was either not gonna watch it at all, or I was just gonna say, well, once it's all said and done, and if I could find like a box set or something, I'll watch it then. But I'm not gonna watch it now because I just don't want to like commit to something that may not continue. But I did catch some episodes out of order, like just out of sequence. Like I saw the homunculus, the dwarf in the jar, which that episode is my favorite episode. It has everything I love. It has a good reveal at the beginning with Mustang. By the way, there will be spoilers, so it's an old show. Okay, you had like what 20 years to watch this. Come on now, dog. But anyways, uh it had this cool intro where you saw like General Mustang was getting a coded message that said, "Oh, Salim's homunculus." It's like, whoa, that's so cool, and the way that it's like done, cool shit. Then you go from that, you go to this flashback of how Hohenheim became immortal, how the main villain, like all this stuff, cool shit, dark, twisted. It had everything I like. I like this like dark shit, right? It's really cool, really cool. It's everything I love in it. So after that, I think I was like, okay, what? I'll watch like the ending, like the last few episodes, and see how I feel about that. Whatever. From what I remember of the ending, again, don't correct me because I'm gonna watch the ending again soon. I remember not liking it because I thought it was a lame motivation that the main villain wanted to do all this shit just to gain more knowledge. Like I get on paper like, okay, yeah, this dude just wants infinite knowledge and all this stuff, and he wants the power of God to achieve that. But I just thought that he needed more. Like I wish there was something more to this craving of knowledge. Like in Resident Evil, yeah, like Wesker wanted to make the perfect organism or whatever, and all this other stuff, and it's like maybe that could have been something, but whatever. It again. This is off of my previous memory of the show. Maybe there is more, and there's like some little bits and pieces of that I'm not like getting. Again, this is going only off of my uh initial memory of the ending. But I that's the only thing I thought I didn't like about it. But I'll see how I feel about it now once I get there. But currently, my thoughts on this show are generally more positive than they were initially. I think this is I thought it was more interesting this time around. There's a lot going on. There were parts I thought I was just not gonna like. For some reason, I thought when they went to the north, I thought that was gonna be a bunch of bullshit. That was gonna be like, I don't care about this. This is boring. Come on, let's get to the good shit. I ended up liking that kind of a lot. There was not a lot of dull moments in it. I like the government conspiracy aspect of it. There's a lot of stuff in this that's also topical now. Basically, there's a lot of stuff that's very that hasn't aged. I mean, you could just watch it and be like, oh, this is like what's going on in real life almost. Like you kind of see some parallels almost, or some like themes that you can kind of glean from it. I like a lot of the artwork in this one. I like Pride's design. Just these creepy eyes and matte teeth and shit. It does make me think this must be a Japanese thing because it kind of. I was thinking of Ava, uh, just randomly because when you watch Rebuild, especially Rebuild 3, I think you could see it, and you could probably see it in the last one. But when they show like the colorized world or whatever, the world is all red with teeth and like maybe eyes in random places. It's really odd, and I guess that's just some kind of symbolism that maybe I'm not like aware of or something because they kind of almost evoke the same kind of feeling when you're watching both. Just this creepy, uh, I don't want to say godlike because it's just teeth and shit, right? But it's like really weird like that. But I guess it's just the nature. Like you just see random like teeth somewhere, you're gonna think of something. Uh, but other than that, I liked the dark stories that this has as well. There's some stuff that carries over from the 2003 series as well. Uh, it's interesting though that the 2003 series is so different, and I watching Brotherhood made me really want to look up. Did why was the 2003 one like different? Why did it deviate from the manga? Some people theorize it was because the anime could not keep up with the manga and all this stuff, so they just decided to go a different direction. But in reality, the author of Fullmetal Alchemist actually said that the anime should be its own thing. Hey, do your own story with it. You know, let it be its own thing. I think that's interesting because a lot of times you could argue that when something goes off of the path of something that's adapting, a lot of people like groan and hate it. But it's like, well, if the creative person who made it wanted to do that, that's more the reason that it should be interesting, right? Like, it's not some corporate CEO guy like, oh, we need to make money, so like we can't wait for the stupid manga to finish. So let's do our own thing. It's like no, this guy just wants it to be its own thing, like naturally. So I think it's more interesting that way. Uh, I don't remember the main villain of the 2003 series like at all. I don't know like because it's they obviously didn't use father in this one. It's something it has to be something very different, but I can't remember. So I definitely want to watch that. I have the Blu-ray of the original show. So once I finish Brotherhood, I'm gonna get into the 2003 series and see just how I feel about the two and do another video comparing the two. But as far as this show is concerned, I love the art style. Obviously the animation quality is better. But there's one part of contention that I remember seeing a lot on online. Like I think obviously Twitter always has the best discourse, right? But one thing that they brought up was just the difference between Rose and Scar in both of those shows, and I kind of agree with the discourse to almost. I agree with their opinion about Rose. I think she looks better in the 2003 series than in Brotherhood. Like it's very jarring, and you could argue that sure it may be nostalgia glasses, maybe I'm just favoring the original because that's what I saw first. However, I do like Scar's design more in Brotherhood than he does in 2003 because in 2003 he just looks like some generic anime guy. Like okay, yeah, he's an angry dude with sunglasses. It's like okay, whatever. In Brotherhood, it plays more into you think he's just a bloodthirsty murderer, but then you realize why he is the way that he is, and it's like, okay, I see that, I get it, and you get more like invested in that character a little bit more, in my opinion. Uh, Again, this is going off pure memory of the 2003 series as well, because I don't remember where his arc went in that show either, but I just like the visual more in Brotherhood. Just Rose, on the other hand, just looks very weird in Brotherhood. Like it just I don't know how to describe it without like it sounding very like Twitter esque, you know, because it does. But I'll just say it. It just looks like one of those artists that just whitewashes the character, then is like, yeah, and that's what it kind of like looks like, and every time she's on screen, it's like it's just really it's a cursed image. That's what it is. Uh, I don't want to like insinuate there's like some like nefarious reason why they did that. I mean, maybe that's how she was in the manga. I don't know, but I kind of wish they stuck with the 2003 Rose because that I think fits better for the character. In my opinion, because of where she's like from or whatever, right? Like I don't know how to describe it other than that. It just looks wrong what they did in Brotherhood, which I will agree it might be unfair to say because again that might be how the character is depicted in the manga and that's what they want to stick with. But it's like that kind of thing. I'm it's just like I don't know. It's that's the only thing I don't know how I feel about it. I guess it's more of a conflicted feeling about that. So that's like the only thing. Other than that, the pacing, I which is still kind of in the unfair territory because since this is done to be more of an adaptation of the manga, I'm sure the pacing works better in that. But I guess this is just a general story complaint. Basically, is where they reveal King Bradley as a homunculus, it just seemed very unceremonious and just all of a sudden. Like they don't even like give you a chance to like think about the viewers or Bradley's intentions. It's just okay, he's a homunculus. Okay. Like and he reveals he's a homunculus to Greed, and it's like you just met Greed in the show or in the story or whatever, and it's like and this is what you're gonna use to reveal Bradley as a homunculus because I think in 2003, from what I remember, they saved that near the end. Like I think they reveal that like so far late into the show, it's part of the final climactic fights in 2003, which was like great. This is like yeah he's a homunculus, okay. Like the Selim reveal was more it was done more impactfully than Bradley, and like, which I guess makes sense for Salem because Salem's a child, so you would never suspect a child of being a bad guy. But I just sat there, I was like, dude, they just reveal Bradley as a homunculus like just out of the blue, like, oh yeah, by the way, he's a homunculus. Yeah, he works for the main bad guy. Now think about that. It's like okay. The one thing I do like a lot when rewatching Brotherhood is just I was not expecting them to breadcrumb the climax of the Dwarf in the Jar episode. Again, I've watched Brotherhood like out of order and not really sequential like at all. So I kind of skipped the beginning, the first half basically. I saw like maybe I mean obviously I watched the one with the where the kid's father turned into a chimera, so that was fucked up. Uh, and then I saw maybe when they went to Lab 5, whatever. And then after that, it's like, okay, whatever. And then I would just catch it whenever. So I didn't know that they were breadcrumbing the Xerxes thing at all, which was really cool. I love that you see these temples, you see these ruins, and the ruins tell like an incomplete story, and it's that to me is cool shit. I love that kind of breadcrumbing. It makes you more engaged with what's going on. So I think Brotherhood overall, I have a general more positive outlook on it because I think it had more going on in it. I the one thing though I like more about the 2003 one from what I remember is the ending took place in an underground city, which I thought was really cool. It's like, oh shit, an underground city. Whoa. But I don't remember anything other than that. I remember like Rose was hypnotized. There was something to do with a baby. Uh, I don't remember if their mom made it to the end. Because that was the other thing I thought was cool in 2003 was that their mom was a homunculus, and it's like, oh, that's actually like a cool twist. Like it's actually like interesting. In Brotherhood, I this is the other thing I also did not really like. Because I like the trauma or the guilt that Ed and Trish felt for Trish. I can't remember the mentor's name. I know it as like a weird name. Like I want to say Trisha or Tressa or Tess. I don't know. I'll just call her mentor lady. uh, that they did human transmutation. Like they tried to bring their mom back. She tried to bring her baby back, and I like that they thought that like they did something really fucked up and it was awful. I liked that they had to wrestle with their guilt with that, and I thought that was interesting. To then have them be absolved by like, well, they didn't do that. It was just they just made bodies. It's like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that because it just kind of takes away something that was like interesting character wise between Ed and the mentor kind of sharing so like a trauma that they've made, right? And I always, as I said about like about Neo Replicant, I love stories where it shows like people doing fucked up shit and then dealing with the consequence of doing fucked up shit, basically. Uh, and this is like, yeah, they did fucked up shit, but it's all good. They just made a body. It's fine. I don't know. That to me, I did not like care for. Right? It was just very. It just seemed very like, yeah, they did a boo boo, guys. It's fine. We just we went from like doing something terrible to just making a little boo boo. It's fine. I don't know. It just takes away from these characters to me. So I didn't like that aspect of it because it just took away the. So I guess that kind of goes back to 2003, saying like, hey, they did something fucked up. Their mom became a homunculus, and that's what they got to deal with. At least that's what I remember how they explained homunculuses, I think, or whatever. But that's more interesting than like, oh yeah, no, they just made a body. It's fine though. It's not. It wasn't anyone important, so it's all good. Like I don't know. So that was like the only like the pacing in that was like the two things that bogged it down a little bit. Overall, I think it's still a solid show. I think it does. It's interesting to see the government conspiracy, the secret plot that's going on. All these conflicts were all like staged and coerced into happening. Like it's interesting in that kind of way where you see like this underhand controlling this underhanded puppeteer controlling all these things. And that is interesting to see play out. So there is stuff that's interesting. I do also want to bring up as you see Bradley is like a homunculus and part of the bad guys. I do kind of like his origin story of just being some dude that was being raised to be the next leader, and then they like kind of put like a philosopher's stone in and made him into a homunculus, whatever, etc., etc. But the thing I liked about that was I like the facade of him being this cool like happy guy, but then you'd see these little pockets of him being like just evil. There was only one scene I thought they did not do it. It was awful. They kind of fucked it up. Uh, who was he talking to? Oh, it was like the Armstrong lady. I forgot her name by the way, but she's my favorite character. She's the goat. So there you have it. But he was talking to her, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll take the seat. It's all I'll play ball. It's all good. Whatever." Saying that just so she doesn't die or whatever, right? And it's like, okay, this is like the perfect time where you kind of like they could have played it like straight or whatever, but they went so like over the top. It looked so cartoonish. Like because he had like the red eye, and then he was like evilly smiling. Oh yes, hello, you're great, or whatever. And it's like, okay, you did not need to do this. This is like too far into like him being a Looney Tunes character almost. Other than that, like I do like the moments where you see him being like very cold and evil. The other thing that this story does, I do like Hohenheim and Father. These are two great characters. I love they have more interesting depth to them than fucking Ed and Mentor Lady, where they're like, oh yeah, we did some fucked up, but it wasn't so bad because it wasn't. They were just bodies, so it's all good. It's like, okay, like meanwhile you have like a slave that was tricked into gaining immortality by the fucking thing in the flask. It's like, okay, this is actually like interesting, and he feels guilty about it. He saw horrendous shit. He saw like a whole fucking genocide, and it's like, this is interesting. So that they nailed it on that whole like drama there. But then with Ed and Mentor Lady, it's like it's fine. They're good. I guess the only thing Ed fucked up was he ruined Al's life by making him to a suit of armor. But but they're gonna reverse it, so it's again all good. Ed is cool. He has no flaws. I guess the only flaw is his height, right, guys? But anyways, other than that, it is still a solid show, better than what I remember. But there's this issues that I think permeate in it that I'm predicting I'm gonna prefer the 2003 series. The only thing Brotherhood has going for it is that Armstrong lady who is so fucking cool and is the best character in the show. So I think that's the only thing it has going for it. Uh, I will say this: the other thing I was disappointed with is they killed us too early. She was like the best character, and they just kill her that early. And then the last episode she's in, they do a cheap fucking thing where it's like, oh yeah, that's your girlfriend. I see you like boobs, and like it just shows her boobs bouncing. It's like this is the last episode she's in, and you do a cheap gag like that. Come on, come on. Like I get it, she's lust, but like you don't have to do it. It's already there. You don't have to fucking do cheap shit like that. Come on. So that was the only thing I thought was bullshit as well about Lust. Great character, they just kill her way too soon, and then her last moment is a fucking sex joke. Wow, wow, guys. They could have done something cool, like I don't know, but they could have done something. I'm not the one, behind the thing. I probably would have her do some cool shit, like maybe just have her kill people. I don't know, do cooler shit, whatever. Uh, Other than like, okay, I'm gonna say this. They bring up how in the last episode I saw, Honam was talking to Pride, saying, "Oh, I see that like each of this is part of like the original's like emotions, and Pride was one of his strongest suits or whatever." What was Lust about? When did that flask get like freaky at night or some shit? Like what? Like what was the Lust part of that guy, right? So like and also if they so Lust dies, right? Does that mean that he can't be lustful ever again? So if you kill all of his sins, the homunculus, does he lose those sins? So like if you kill gluttony, is he not gonna eat? If you kill pride, is he not gonna feel prideful anymore? Like what's gonna happen with that, right? Correct. But anyways, it's still overall a solid show. There's just some minor issues, but I'm predicting right now I'm gonna prefer the 2003 series of Full Metal Alchemist for the time being. I'll do another video once I finish Brotherhood, but right now, I'm probably like halfway through. I think there's like 20 episodes left. Whatever. Uh, I would give it as of now a 7 out of 10. It does just enough to like kind of be like, okay, you can watch this. You're eating dinner, whatever. You can turn it on, and it's like gonna be interesting. You're not gonna like feel like you wasted time. It's not brain dead slop. Uh, there was something else I want. Oh yeah, I also like that they do have like another form of alchemy. Like there's alchemy, then there's alchemy. So I do like that there's like more stuff going on as well with that, and there's all these different like ideologies and religions, all this stuff. Like it's a little bit more interesting in that way as well. And they really do foreshadow the two Hohenheims basically, because one in both religions, which is really cool. I do like that when you saw them in the Dwarf in the Flask, you're like, okay, these are like two like dudes, right? And then as time went on, they kind of became gods because they're immortal and they've been doing all this kind of shit. They didn't have to. They don't have to do like any transmutation or whatever. They could just touch something and then it just happens. So I do like that. You see that kind of ripple in, through the story, like because as much as I knew about the that episode about Dwarf in the Flask, a few episodes before that, they were talking about like, oh yeah, this guy came in from the east, this guy came in from the west. It's very weird that they're very similar, and it's like because there's two of them, so it's interesting in that way as well. So I do like that as well. I do like that they play a little bit into that as well. So that it does good stuff like both thematically and in the background of stuff. So I do like it for that kind of stuff. I think the World building is really good in Brotherhood. I think there's much more stuff that's more engaging and rich. So it's great. It's a solid show. It's a 7 out of 10 right now. Maybe when I finish it, it's gonna bump up to 10. Maybe, who knows, right? But that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.